He was 73, widowed, still sharp in mind, but distant in his own skin. He told me, "Doc, I haven't touched myself in years, and I think my body forgot how to feel." What he didn't know is that this quiet habit he'd abandoned wasn't shameful. It was protective. It supported his circulation, memory, even sleep. I'm Dr. Nolan, and today we're going to talk about a part of men's health most never mention, and why reclaiming it after 60 may restore more than just your hormones. It may restore your sense of being alive. There's something the nervous system understands long before the mind catches up: absence, not of noise, not of people, but of physical contact. After 60, many men slow down. They stop working with their hands. They move less. And quietly, without realizing it, they stop touching their own bodies. Not because they're ashamed, but because something inside them goes still. But the body keeps score. Nerve pathways that once carried sensation begin to quiet. Skin that once registered warmth, texture, even memory, stop sending signals. Over time, unused sensory systems fade, not from disease, but from disuse. In men over 70 who report minimal physical self-contact, researchers have found up to 42% reduction in peripheral nerve responsiveness. The body doesn't punish, it simply adapts. And this adaptation isn't neutral. It affects your heart rate, your sleep cycle, even how your brain filters emotion. Gentle touch, especially intentional. Focused contact has been shown to reactivate sensory neurons, increase blood flow, and improve balance in men within just weeks of practice. This isn't a theory, it's physiology. I once had a patient in his late 60s tell me, "I didn't know how numb I'd become until I started brushing lotion on my arms each night. It wasn't about desire, it was about remembrance." His posture shifted, his mood lifted. What had seemed like mild depression had actually been disconnection from self, from sensation, from life. If you've gone days, weeks, or even years without acknowledging your own physical presence, you are not alone. Many older adults quietly assume that touch is something you grow out of. But the science and the stories say otherwise. Your skin, your nerves, your heart, they all still remember what it means to be known. Sometimes the first step isn't about fixing anything, it's about asking a quiet question. When did I stop reaching for myself, not out of need, but out of care? And for those in your 70s or beyond, know this: your body hasn't forgotten you, it's waiting. And even a few minutes of intention each day can begin to wake up what time tried to quiet. You might not think of gentle touch as a cardiovascular event, but the body does. Every time you place your hand on your chest, run water across your forearm, or massage your calves after a long day, your blood vessels react, your heart rate shifts, your circulation responds. After 60, the elasticity of our arteries naturally decreases. By 70, the average adult has up to 25% reduction in vessel compliance, meaning blood flow becomes more sluggish, pressure increases, and oxygen delivery slows. But studies show that even light physical contact, whether from another or from yourself, can increase microcirculation by over 30%. Especially in extremities and pelvic vessels. There's a physiological rhythm your body knows how to play, but it needs rehearsal. Skin pressure stimulates the release of nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessel walls and improves flow. In one Cleveland Clinic review, Older adults who engaged in consistent, intentional physical routines saw measurable improvements in circulation and reported better temperature regulation, fewer cramps, and even steadier walking. Their bodies hadn't changed overnight. Their vessels had simply been reminded to open again. One man I cared for, 76 years old, a retired bus driver, shared that he started applying warm oil to his legs before bed. At first it felt silly, he said, but within a week, my feet didn't feel cold anymore. What he thought was neuropathy was really inactivity. What he feared was decline was, in part, neglect. It's easy to dismiss the power of simple habits when you're used to hearing big words like hypertension and arterial plaque, but health doesn't always return through grand fixes. Sometimes it flows back slowly through hands that move with care, through breath that calms the heart, through a daily ritual of touch that tells your brain this body still matters. If your hands tremble now, let them. Let them explore gently. Let them press, stretch, warm. Remember, you don't need to perform. You just need to participate. And if you're in your 70s or 80s, living alone or with a partner who may no longer offer the same contact, don't underestimate what your own touch can restore. The heart, after all, beats more freely when it knows it's not forgotten. He told me he hadn't cried in 20 years, not even at his wife's funeral. I just felt quiet, he said. What many older men call strength is sometimes a signal that something deeper has gone still. By the time most men reach their 60s, they've learned to muscle through discomfort, silence emotions, and retreat inward. But the body doesn't interpret this stoicism as resilience. It reads it as withdrawal, and slowly, without alarms or announcements. Your emotional systems begin to dim. You stop dreaming. You stop initiating. You stop laughing the way you used to. Touch, especially self-initiated and mindful, releases oxytocin, a hormone essential for emotional bonding and trust. It lowers cortisol, reduces anxiety, and improves both memory and mood. Men in their 70s who engage in daily physical self-connection, not for stimulation, but for grounding, report up to 27% lower rates of depressive symptoms and significantly better emotional regulation. I had a patient in his late 60s, recently divorced, who said, "It's like the lights in the house are still on, but no one's home." He wasn't depressed in the clinical sense. He was unanchored, floating. After months of small changes, adding touch to his bedtime routine, breathing with intention, even soaking his hands in warm water while thinking about his childhood, his tone changed. His shoulders lifted. He remembered his favorite song and started playing piano again. What we often call aging is sometimes just emotional starvation. When you stop connecting to your own skin, your mind believes you no longer want to feel, and it responds accordingly by numbing your joy, flattening your memories, even making your dreams more distant. Ask yourself quietly now, when was the last time I truly felt at home in my own body? Not strong, not functional, just present. For men in their 70s, this question becomes even more urgent. It's not about chasing youth, it's about returning to yourself. Touch can be your invitation back not to the man you were, but to the man who still lives inside you, waiting for a reason to rise again. Your body doesn't know your social status. It doesn't track grief or loneliness. It only tracks signals. And even after 60, the prostate continues to produce fluid because biologically, your system assumes you're still living, still engaging, still connected. But when that fluid isn't released, it builds slowly, silently. It creates internal pressure, congestion, and inflammation. Over time, this leads to discomfort, nighttime urgency, weak stream, or pelvic heaviness. In men over 65 who abstain from all release for extended periods, rates of chronic prostatitis symptoms rise by more than 30%. Not because something is wrong, but because something is unresolved. One of my patients, 68, came in after waking 4 or 5 times a night to urinate. I figured it was just my age, he said. But when I asked how often he released fluid, he looked confused, then admitted it had been years. We started with a simple routine: warm compresses, pelvic stretches, quiet physical contact before bed. Within 3 weeks, his urgency dropped in half. By 2 months, he was sleeping through the night. The prostate is not a storage unit. It's a living gland, designed for rhythm and release. When it's ignored, its environment becomes stagnant, and stagnant fluid invites irritation, swelling, and long-term risk. In one Harvard-linked study of men aged 60-75, those who released fluid at least once a week had significantly lower rates of prostate inflammation and even fewer urinary interventions later in life. But this isn't just about the organ. It's about the signal. When the body is allowed to complete its natural rhythms gently, without shame, it regulates itself. Blood pressure improves. Pelvic floor tension softens. Even digestion becomes easier. And if you're in your 70s or early 80s, the change can be felt quickly. One man told me, "I didn't know I could feel that kind of relief at this age." What he meant was I didn't know I still had that much life left in me. So ask yourself now, am I holding something my body was never meant to carry this long? There's no shame in silence, but there's a quiet cost. And your body still living, still responsive, is asking you not for performance, but for participation. She noticed it first. The refrigerator had only condiments. The mailbox was overflowing. Her father, once meticulous about his grooming, now wore the same sweater for days. "I'm fine," he said, smiling politely. But she could feel it. Something had receded. For many older men, loneliness doesn't show up in dramatic confessions or tearful nights. It arrives in the quiet, in routines dropped, in mirrors avoided, in skin untouched. The body begins to disappear from the center of one's attention, and with it, the identity that once felt solid. Over time, the nervous system responds not just emotionally, but biologically. In men between 70 and 80, chronic physical isolation has been linked to accelerated cognitive decline, up to 26% faster than in socially or physically engaged peers. But here's what's less understood: self-touch, whether through massage, bathing, or mindful breathing, can partially compensate for the absence of regular human contact. The body registers presence, even if the hands are your own. When a daughter lays her hand on her father's back, even gently, it does something. It tells the body, "You're still here." It reminds the nervous system to keep its circuits open. And when a man allows himself to continue that connection, to apply lotion to his own chest, to hold his own hands at night, it extends that message deeper. I once had a man in his early 80s tell me, "I used to think no one touching me meant I was invisible. Then I realized I hadn't even touched myself in years. He wasn't speaking about anything provocative. He meant care. He meant recognition. He meant, I see you. You may be widowed, divorced, living alone in a house that once held voices. But even in the absence of others, your own touch still holds power. Your own body still listens for signs of engagement. And sometimes, the act of brushing your arm, massaging your legs, or placing your hand over your chest isn't about function. It's about saying, I still matter. And if you have a daughter, a son, or a caregiver who pauses long enough to notice your silence, let them in. Let them help you remember. But ask yourself, too, when was the last time I touched myself the way I'd care for someone I love? Because sometimes, loneliness doesn't begin when others leave. It begins when we stop reaching for our own well-being. The body listens carefully. It notices what you stop doing. And one of the most misunderstood truths in aging is this: hormones don't just fade because of time. They fade because of silence, especially the kind you fall into after 60. Testosterone, the hormone most associated with strength, energy, and drive, doesn't retire on your birthday. It responds to signals. And when your body stops receiving physical input, touch, arousal, even gentle attention, it interprets that as a cue the system is no longer needed. Resources are reallocated, blood flow slows, muscle tone slips, and with each year of withdrawal, your body turns the volume down further. In men over 65 who disengage from physical self-connection for more than 12 months, testosterone levels drop an additional 17-29% beyond expected age-related decline. That's not just a lab result, it's a life result. It shows up as nighttime sugar cravings, irritability, difficulty focusing, and emotional flatness. One man, a retired electrician, told me, I used to get up early, eager to fix something. Now I barely want to leave the bed. We checked his labs. His hormone profile had declined sharply in just 2 years. Not due to disease, but due to disuse. He hadn't reached for his body in over a year. No stretching, no self-care, not even warmth. I just lost the motivation, he said, but it was the lack of presence that had drained the spark. We started small, gentle hand-to-skin connection for 5 minutes each morning. Breathwork, slow shoulder movement. Within 8 weeks, he reported better sleep, reduced sugar cravings at night, and a subtle but unmistakable return of initiative. His body had been waiting for a sign that he was still here. And for older women, the equation is no less urgent. After menopause, declining estrogen and progesterone affect sleep, mood, and bone density. But women who continue to engage with their physical selves through warm baths, body brushing, and emotional presence maintain stronger hormonal rhythms and up to 24% higher calcium absorption rates. Hormones are not abstract. They are loyal. They echo what you give your body. If you give it nothing, it learns to expect less. But if you give it quiet, focused attention, even 5 to 10 minutes a day, it often responds with strength, clarity, and softness. So ask yourself, have I stopped asking my body to feel alive and expected it to keep trying anyway? Because hormones don't need perfection. They need participation. He didn't notice the change at first, just a few nighttime snacks, a little more tired in the morning. Then came the restless sleep, the brain fog, the nagging stiffness in his knees. Maybe it's just age, he said. But beneath the surface, his body was sending a message his insulin regulation was slipping. After 60, insulin sensitivity naturally declines. But when emotional and physical connection fall away, to especially self-touch and hormonal activation, those shifts accelerate. Men who disengage from physical presence report up to 32% higher glucose variability, increased abdominal weight, and more frequent late-night food cravings. It's not always hunger. Sometimes, it's the body's last-ditch effort to spark forgotten rhythms. Here's what the science shows: intimacy, even solo, non-sexual. Intentional touch triggers parasympathetic activation. That calms the nervous system, lowers cortisol, and improves glucose metabolism. In one study of older men with mild metabolic impairment, those who practiced daily grounding rituals, slow breath, warm self-contact, rhythmic movement showed significantly better morning glucose readings after just 3 weeks. And here's something most don't expect: melatonin, the hormone responsible for sleep, is directly suppressed by poor blood sugar control. So the cycle continues: less touch, more stress, unstable insulin, worse sleep, more craving, further withdrawal. I remember a widowed woman in her late 70s. She lived alone. She told me she didn't feel hungry during the day, but every night she found herself reaching for cookies or bread. "I think I just missed something," she whispered. When we replaced that nighttime habit with a warm foot soak, a soft towel around her shoulders, and quiet music, her cravings softened. Not because she lost willpower, but because her body stopped signaling distress. There's a gentle intelligence in the body. When it craves sugar, it might actually be craving warmth. When it reaches for something sweet, it may be asking for softness. And when your blood sugar spikes at midnight, it might not be about food at all. So pause and ask yourself, what is my body truly asking for when the house is quiet and I find myself reaching for the wrong thing? Because regulating your insulin isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what's missing from your day. And sometimes it's touch, not for stimulation, but for safety. She was 74, widowed 15 years. "I take my calcium," she said, folding her hands. "I walk when the weather's good, but my bones still ache when I wake up." I asked her one more question: "And when was the last time you felt comfort in your body, not from a pill, but from presence?" She blinked. "I'm not sure I ever have." After menopause, the body changes dramatically. Estrogen declines, and with it, the ability to maintain bone density, regulate mood, and absorb key minerals like calcium and magnesium. But what's often overlooked is the emotional thread tied to those changes. Physical connection, touch, warmth, affection isn't just a comfort. It's a biological signal. Women over 70 who report sustained emotional connection, whether with others or through solo touch rituals, show up to 24% higher calcium absorption rates and fewer falls or fractures over time. Gentle practices like applying body oil before bed, using a warm compress on the belly, or simply placing a hand over the heart during breath work can trigger hormonal balancing that supplements what medications alone cannot. But it's more than numbers. One woman I knew, a former school teacher, started brushing her skin with a soft towel each night before sleep. "It was strange at first," she said. "Then I started sleeping deeper. I woke up remembering my mother's hands." Sometimes, the path to stronger bones is paved with old memories and new touch. Postmenopausal women often experience what doctors call emotional flattening. But it's not just hormones, it's disconnection. The body loses cues it once relied on to feel safe, nurtured, and alive. And when that loss is met only with silence, a kind of quiet grief sets in, not loud, not dramatic, but dull and persistent. That same woman later told me, "I stopped feeling like an old woman with brittle bones. I started feeling like a person again." Her words held more medicine than most prescriptions. And this matters not just for women. It matters for sons and daughters who don't always realize that mom's back pain or fatigue may not be due to age alone. It may be the body's silent response to being untouched, unrecognized, unheld. So I ask gently, if you're a woman over 70, when was the last time you touched yourself with the kindness you once offered your children? Because bone strength isn't just structural, it's emotional. And presence, even in stillness, builds resilience. He lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment filled with quiet, 82 years old. Once a machinist, now a man of slow mornings and long afternoons. When I asked about his routine, he chuckled softly. "I just wait for the day to end." That kind of stillness isn't peace, it's resignation. And it's more common than we admit. Many men in their 80s begin to feel invisible, not just to others, but to themselves. The mirror stops mattering. The body becomes something distant, and over time, they retreat not from society, but from sensation. But here's what's rarely said, even in your 80s. The body can remember how to feel alive. I encouraged him to begin something I call micro-presence. Each morning, just 10 minutes with warm water, a soft cloth, and simple hand-to-skin contact. No pressure, no expectation, just acknowledgement. Within 2 weeks, his posture lifted. He started shaving again. By the end of the month, he joined a weekly community breakfast for veterans. "I didn't think I had anything left to say," he told me. But turns out, I just hadn't been spoken to. From a clinical standpoint, men over 80 who maintain daily physical routines, no matter how modest, see improved blood pressure regulation, reduced cortisol levels, and slower memory decline. But what's harder to measure is the return of spark, that quiet flicker of self that says, "I still matter." I once walked past him in the clinic lobby. He nodded, pressed his hand over his chest, and said, "Still here, Doc." It meant more than he knew. Too often, our culture prepares men for retirement, but not for invisibility. We teach them to step back, to fade gently. But the nervous system doesn't believe in fading. It believes in signals. And even at 82, the signal of self-touch, of presence, can awaken systems that have been dormant for years. So if you're listening now, and you're in your 80s, or you love someone who is asked quietly, is there still a spark waiting beneath the silence? Because it doesn't take much. A warm towel, a steady breath, a hand resting on the chest, and the message, you're still here, and your body still listens. It often surprises people when I say this, but some of the most powerful medicine after 60 doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from what you've quietly stopped doing, drinking deeply, breathing fully, and noticing that you're still here. The nervous system thrives on rhythm, water, air, touch. These aren't luxuries. They're signals. And when they disappear from your daily life, The body doesn't shut down all at once. It just begins to dim. After 70, dehydration becomes one of the leading silent triggers for fatigue, joint stiffness, and mental fog. Many older adults unconsciously drink less, especially those who live alone or move less during the day. The body adapts by conserving energy, slowing circulation, and dulling sensory input. But with just 4 to 6 extra ounces of water between meals, studies have shown a 20% improvement in temperature regulation and improved heart rate variability in adults over 75. Pair that with breath, not just unconscious breathing, but intentional inhalation slower, fuller. When paired with touch, it activates the vagus nerve, lowers blood pressure, and reduces inflammatory signals in the body. This trifecta hydration, breath, presence recalibrates systems most assume are fading with age. They're not fading. They're waiting. I had one patient, 79, who began a simple practice, a glass of water upon waking, 5 minutes of breath while his feet touched the floor, and a warm cloth rubbed across his arms and neck. It felt silly, he said, but by week 2, I didn't feel so foggy in the mornings. His numbers didn't spike overnight, but his face, his voice, it changed. These aren't empty rituals. They're biological cues. Gentle hydration signals the kidneys and brain to regulate better. Breath delivers oxygen to tissues that have been quietly undernourished. Touch reminds the skin and the spirit that connection is still possible. And this applies just as much to women, especially those managing brittle bones or postmenopausal hormonal shifts. Hydrated tissue absorbs calcium more efficiently. Breath relaxes pelvic tension. Warm presence at bedtime can ease the insomnia so many older women quietly endure. So ask yourself, not out of guilt, but out of curiosity, what small signal can I give my body today to say I haven't given up on you? You don't need hours. You don't need a plan. You just need to show up with a glass of water, with a hand across your shoulder, with a breath that says, I am still here. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for staying with a conversation that most men were never invited into. This wasn't just about the body. It was about what the body remembers, what it quietly asks for, and what it slowly loses when no one is listening. You're not broken. You haven't missed your window. Whether you're 62 or 82, your body still responds to presence, to care, to touch. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to become present again with yourself. Sometimes, the most radical act in older age is simply not abandoning the body you've lived in your whole life. So if this made you reflect today, let someone else feel that too. Share it. And if you've ever wondered what happens when the private parts of health are neglected, not just physically, but emotionally, you won't want to miss what comes next. Because in our next video, we'll show what really begins to unravel when silence replaces attention, and what it takes to get it back. The next chapter is called If You Ignore Private Health After 60. Watch this. We'll meet you there.